Check, 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 check. Hey guys, this is Brian here. Today I wanted to show you guys some cool stuff that I've been working on. The title of this video is Statistics, Quadra Typing, and Set Theory. So I've been thinking a lot about Quadra typing and how, kind of on the subject of how I believe Dave mistyped Mike Patey. I believe Quadra typing could have prevented that. So just to clarify, I believe that Mike Patey is SCFI and not SETI on the basis of not just traditional ops logic, not just traditional ops procedures, but also on the basis of these emergent procedures, which will inevitably emerge out of our system. Our system's inevitably going to go down this road. It's in everyone's best interest for the system to pursue higher level structures which contain everything, because the more we start to see the 5 to 12 string multiply and divide like cellular division, the more we start to see more types exist. Let's say there are 8 socials. Let's say the modalities don't work the way we think they do. As we see more fracturing and more multiplicity in terms of type, what we're going to need is we're going to start to desperately need these higher order structures to keep everything together. And Quadra is exactly that. So I changed the diagram that I posted yesterday and I made it a little bit more legible. As you can see, each of these are labeled. The reason I wanted to talk about statistics and Quadra and set theory is in the context of some stuff Dave was bringing up in his last Q&A. He showed this slide in his last Q&A of basically a bunch of data noise. And his point was that this is what the data looks like when you actually do the SEFI consume and the SETE play. When you take in all of that data, it's very scattered. It looks very scattered. So for instance, if you wanted to know what types go into construction, if you ask me, I'm going to say it's mostly going to be gammas and betas. That there's going to be, and it's mostly going to be, or it might be mostly be deltas and gammas. It might be more like TE that does construction than just SE. But I'm going to argue that it's going to be more SE and TE, but you're also going to see, some ISFJs in there doing construction. You'll see some ESFJs doing construction, and they might be great at it. You might have some guys doing construction who are typed like, say, Chael Sonnen, the UFC fighter. So Dave is trying to illustrate this point. He's saying, okay, you see someone doing construction, you can't just say that's an ESFP. You might want to be careful and go, oh, could that be an ISTJ, ESTJ, ISFJ, ESFJ, ESTP, ISTP? That spans all 4 quadras. How are you going to use something like Quadra to measure who has what jobs or something like that? So Dave's saying, so the solution is you need more quantity. I'm saying, no, that's not the solution. We don't need more quantity. Quantity is destroying the system. I'll say that again. More quantity is destroying the system for everyone. So I believe what we need is more quality controls. So when I look at this, I see a framework which allows us to discern between types once we are at our wits' end with typing people with these piecemeal methods. I believe that's where Dave went wrong with Mike Patey. He typed Mike Patey piecemeal. So he said, okay, I'm going to go between feeling and thinking, Savior. I'm going to go thinking. And he went, oh, well, between DI and DE, I'm going to go DI. Oh, so that must be TI. Must be. That's how it works. That's the math. That's not the math. That's just being silly. That's just being self-defeating. That's just being ignorant of Quadra. That's just ignoring this higher order structure that could have helped him. Could have helped him see that Mike Patey was indeed in the Gamma Quadra. And I stand by that. So I'm going to kind of try to explain how statistics and set theory are involved here with the help of Google Gemini. So I'll just start by asking it, what is set theory? Just so we can get a basic understanding of what is set theory. And you guys are going to see how this applies to Quadra very quickly. Set theory is a fundamental branch of mathematics that studies the properties of collections of objects called sets. These sets can contain anything from numbers to other sets themselves. So it's a collection of objects, that's a set, and what's in the set is elements. So this is like Venn diagrams. Venn diagrams is a study of set theory. Okay. Venn diagrams are studies of set theory. So here it says, consider the set of even numbers less than 10, right? So all the even numbers less than 10. There aren't that many. You've got 2, 4, 6, and 8. That's all the even numbers less than 10. This set contains 4 elements, 2, 4, 6, and 8. The set of all even numbers is a subset of this set. Okay, I'm not sure I understand that. The set of all even numbers is a subset of the even numbers less than 10. I don't think that's right. This set is a subset of all even numbers. So I think it got it wrong there. Anyways. So let's say, so now let me ask it a bit more of a loaded question. So let's say I had set G. So I'll say, let's say I have set G and set B. And these stand for gamma and beta. And G contains Ni, Si. I'm sorry, G is gamma, so G contains Ni, Si, Fi, and Te. And B contains Ni, Si, Fe, and Ti. And then I'm just going to ask Gemini, I'm going to ask it, what is the union? What is the intersection between these? It's a very innocent question. All right, there you go. See how quick that was. So it said, sure, the intersection of set G and set B is NISC. In other words, elements Ni and SC are both in set G and set B. Okay, so that's called the intersection. Is what do these two sets have in common? So how does this apply to Quadra? Well, I'll give an example in terms of a real guy, okay? So let me get my headphones working. So that's connected. And let's go check on this kid I've been watching. And his name is Joe Fazer. And Joe Fazer, he's kind of this fitness influencer. And he's definitely big, tall, and strong. And he's also pretty dang smart. He's pretty dang smart. So I'm going to go watch one of his most recent videos. Where Joe goes to South Sudan. And it's this one.
I have 12 females, 30 males.
So Joe goes to South Sudan.
How am I already underwater?
I'm in the same boat.
I'm in an actual boat.
I thought Grammarly just fixed grammar. They make boats now?
It's more of a metaphor.
And I'm just going to use my reaction module instead. I know you guys want to see the Temu ads, but sorry. This isn't that kind of channel. So this is Joe Fazer. This is Mr. Joe Fazer. And I'm just gonna type him real quick, and I'm gonna explain how set theory and statistics kind of factors in.
Okay, this is very strange. I've been speaking to a guy who lives in South Sudan, and he says I should come visit him, which I have mixed opinions on, and let me explain why.
So, South Sudan is located here in Africa. It is the fourth most dangerous country in the world, with a constant civil war going on. Kidnapping and gang violence is very common. Landmines and unexploded weapons are a threat. The government is extremely corrupt, and economically the country is a disaster. It is the poorest country in the world. So, as I'm sure you can imagine, tourism is virtually non-existent here. It's estimated that only a couple hundred visit each year.
So if you look at like a Johnny Harris video, there's a lot of this. There's a lot of like geopolitics and stuff. Right? So there's a lot of like geopolitics, but what this guy seems to want to do is he wants to actually visit this place. So I'm just gonna kind of spoil what I'm doing here and say that I think Joe Fazer is some kind of savior SE and some kind of savior consume. But that's all I know. That's all I really know. That's all I really know. Is that he's some kind of SE and savior consume. So now what I want to do is I want to go, okay, I know if Joe has SE, then I already know that he's in set gamma or set beta. Right? So I've already crossed off the delta quadra for Joe. I don't think he's an ENFP. I don't think he's an ISTJ. I don't think he's an ESTJ, ISTJ. I don't think he's an ISFJ or an ENTP. I don't. I really don't. I really don't. And if he is, then wow, he could have really fooled me. So let's keep watching.
South Sudan travel advice. The FCDO advised against all travel to South Sudan due to the risk of armed violence and criminality. And to throw another cherry on top, filming's illegal in South Sudan. Like even just filming on your phone, you can go to jail. Call me an idiot, but I really want to go.
Now to get there, a lot of work was...
So there he's showing you the sensory. He's showing you what he's doing. So that's a point for sensory. And he does a lot of work to get to South Sudan. Let's keep watching.
I first applied for a visa online. You needed proof of a COVID vaccine, a yellow fever vaccine, you needed to know someone in the country, and just so much. But eventually...
I've just got our visa for South Sudan. We're actually going.
With visa required, I booked tickets, and it was time to go.
Off we go, boys.
I first got a plane from England.
Okay, so pause. Look at that guy's
required. I booked tickets,
physiology just for a second. So obviously he's got pretty gifted physiology. So when he goes to South Sudan, I get the sense that he's not going to be particularly afraid of anyone. He seems genuinely fearless. So he's going to the most dangerous country in the world right now. Also the poorest country in the world. And he's doing it as if it... And he's filming himself just rolling out of bed and going. As you can see, he's just got this backpack. And it looks like the strap is broken or something. And this little suitcase. He's just got this little suitcase. So this is an amazing person, and you might think, oh, this is an idiot, this is ridiculous, and the joke is on him somehow. The joke is that all the consumers do this. It's like, no, all the consumers didn't do this 3 centuries ago because there weren't such things as planes. All the consumers didn't do this 3 decades ago because South Sudan didn't exist yet. Right? You have to look at the whole world before you shoot spitballs at a person, because a person is making decisions on the basis of the world around them. So I think this is a really brave thing to do. I think him bringing his camera to South Sudan is only going to create more awareness of South Sudan and their abject poverty in the first world. I think what he's doing is extremely commendable, and he deserves to be paid for it. I think he deserves to be compensated for the work he's doing, because it is journalism work. And keep in mind, this is what consumers do. Consumers travel. Dave just said it himself. Dave said, I'm a blaster. Dave said this. So I'm not just going to pack my bags and go fly to Argentina on a whim. I'm not going to just pack my bags and go fly to Argentina on a whim. That's something consumers do. And Dave is so immersed in his sleep. He's fighting for his business, Dave. Fighting to keep his business alive. So he doesn't have the wherewithal, the mental space to go out to South Sudan. So that's why I don't like Dave using his this, because guess what, Dave, you are obviously not one of the consumers, right? And I don't need 10,000 types to see that. So let's ask, before we go further, let's ask Gemini, what is an invariant? In math and statistics. What is an invariant in math and statistics? It has to do with the word variable. Invariant in math and statistics refers to a quantity or property that remains unchanged. It does not vary under certain transformations or operations. It's like a constant amidst change. So a good example is if you change my modalities, you're still going to see the patterns of TI. You're still going to see the patterns of FE. Even if you change those modalities, you're still going to see some underlying patterns that don't change, that do not vary. And those are called invariants. In statistics, an invariant estimator is one that produces the same estimate, regardless of certain transformations of the data. So the whole point of statistics is to take all this garbage that Dave wants us to see. To take all this garbage. The whole point of statistics is to deal with this, but intelligently. Not just putting it all in some giant pile, which I know is probably what our leadership is doing. But to actually analyze the data with data analysis, with computational statistics. So let's keep watching Joe walk the streets of South Sudan. By the way, I bring up invariant because if I'm quadra typing Joe Fazer, and let's say I'm trying to figure out if he's an ESFP or an ESTP, and I cannot figure it out for the life of me. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for invariance. So I'm not gonna do something stupid and go, okay, I think Joe is, I'm seeing thinking from Joe, and I'm seeing DE. So guess what? Joe's an ESFP. No, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to look for the things with Joe which do not vary depending on circumstances or the transformations of his other typological qualities, namely his modalities, his animals, and his socials. So those three things, I know you think, oh, I've got to see 10,000 more people because the modalities, animals, and socials are interfering. And until I've seen 10,000 more ESFPs and 10,000 more ESTPs, I can't type Joe. I'm stuck. I can't type Joe because there's these other three variables that are interfering. Guess what? If you're using Quadra typing, you're looking for invariants that do not transform relative to modalities, animals, and socials. When you're looking at Quadra patterns, you're looking at invariant patterns that do not vary. So if I don't have TE, that's invariant, and you can find that. I don't have a TE Swiss Army knife on me at all the time. I don't have my TE go-go gadgets. I don't have a Batman utility belt. I don't have the most kick-ass rain jacket in the world. I don't have all the best weapons a la Sean Ryan. I don't have all the best weapons in the world. I didn't bring all my weapons to South Sudan, right? But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see Joe.
I first got a plane from England to Ethiopia, and from there was a connecting flight to Juba. This is the capital city of South Sudan.
Thank you.
25 please.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to South Sudan, Juba.
As I onboarded the plane, I could definitely sense I was in a world that I was not used to. I made my way through the airport past vaccine checks and then eventually through border control. But before I could make it out the airport,
we've been taken in some room because they saw our camera equipment.
So by the way, consume your taking in. So what he did at the beginning of the video is he did all this taking in. He took in all this info and he got prepared. But what I'm realizing is that the opposite of consume is basically the weave. And that's reverse consume. And it's a perfect way to describe it. Donald Trump put it perfectly when he called it the weave. And that's reverse consume. So that's my DI. That's my DI braving the OE. That's when consume is outgoing, is when it uses the weave. And guess what? He's trying to get through an airport. He's trying to get through an airport. So he's got to use his DI and his OE to get through this situation. And it's just him. He doesn't have his family with him. So this isn't play. He's not here on a mission trip, so he's not blasting. He's just trying to weave his way through. He's doing the weave in real life.
Previously said filming here is illegal, but a few weeks prior I applied for journalist passes, which costed $2,000, but they got approved. Saying that though, the guys at airport security were being really hard to convince. Eventually though, after about an hour of questioning...
Are we good to film?
Film that side.
Film that side, okay.
We made it out the airport.
Right, that was a bit of faff, but we finally made it out.
Welcome to South Sudan.
Thank you, my friend.
Welcome,
this is Mr. BMG.
This is the guy who I mentioned at the start who convinced me to come here. He's one of the only YouTubers in South Sudan, and we got speaking online. There was no way I would have made it into the country without this guy.
Yeah.
This is the car.
Oh, this is us?
Yeah, this is the...
Is that a bullet?
Yeah.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I was driving him from here to the tribes.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we hit some goat
And then they shot.
it happened, yeah.
So, getting shot by bullets, I'm also going to say that that's a consume story. That's a story of the weave. You're weaving your way through life and death. That really is what consume does best. That really is something that consume does really well, because it's your OE, and when it's time for survival mode, this is why I think that a lot of blast lasters are probably the best Olympians. They're probably the best athletes. They're probably the best champions. They're probably the best politicians. Notice how not many politicians are EJs. Instead, a lot more politicians seem to be EPs, a la Donald Trump. It seems that the weave is more important in real life. It's almost like consume is more important than blast. Like, just straight up. Because consume is the weave.
Oh my god.
Not the most promising start.
These are very aggressive people.
Yeah, they don't like filming. Okay, we made it to like the center. It's crazy out here. People don't like these cameras.
What happened? Why you take the camera like this? Don't take camera.
That's my point.
Well, some people getting aggressive with us because of the cameras,
It's not on you, don't worry.
and a lot of people just staring us out. As a whole, walking around the place, I felt a lot safer than I thought.
First impression, a lot better than I expected. I feel quite safe, to be honest.
Yeah, but you're safe. You're safe.
Apart from the odd person,
Yeah.
most people are pretty friendly.
This is for cleaning your teeth.
This is a local cuisine here in South Sudan. Is it?
So I've already seen this video. And when I first watched, I was like kind of jealous of Joe, just because it's so clear that Joe's just such an amazing person. Like, he's generous, he's kind, he's athletic, he's charismatic, he's tall. He's got enormous arms. I was jealous when I first watched this. I was like, damn. Joe's a smart kid.
Good or bad? It's good. Good, yeah? I give my honest opinion. Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
The taste is not.
So I happen to have seen people with similar types to Joe. I believe my cousin is probably almost this exact type. My first cousin. I also believe that Tristan Tate, Andrew Tate's brother, is also this exact type. So I'm just going to give it away. I think Joe is in the beta quadra. I think Joe is SCTI. But when I'm trying to prove that, and I'm trying to discern that from SCFI, or SCTE, or SCFE for that matter, or any of the IPs with Consume First and Savior SC, so the ISFPs and the ISTPs, and the Play Consume Jumpers, I guess I would want to consider the sleep jumpers of the ISFPs and the ISTPs, but no, I'm pretty sure that Joe is Savior OE. And I'm pretty sure he's a double decider. And I'm pretty sure he's Savior Consume. So that really narrows it down to either like Consume, I think he's Consume Sleep, Consume Play, or play consume. Right? I don't think he's sleep consume. Why? Because sleep consume is demon OE. And he's clearly just so good with the OE when you really watch him. So I'm using the math to narrow things down.
Ice? Yeah. The texture's like snot, which kind of puts me off.
That was a lie, the food was not nice. But aside from the food, so far, South Sudan had beaten my expectations. Now, after the meal, we continued exploring. The atmosphere, however, started to feel different.
It's most dangerous place.
This is the most dangerous place in South Sudan.
Yeah, like pickpocketing.
Around this area, we were getting looks, but they were not friendly looks.
Very fine. No. Let's go.
A big crowd started to form around us.
Alright, it's getting quite heated now.
So to explain what happened next, this guy here in purple, he got very angry about the camera. We were circled by all of them at this point, and he started shoving Jack, my cameraman. Mr. BMG managed to de-escalate the situation. We got out of there, headed back to the car. However, on the journey back, a new problem occurred. Let me explain what's going on. As I mentioned earlier, I spent $2,000 on journalist passes. This is issued by the South Sudan government, so I was legally allowed to film. So as we were driving, I got this video just of the scenery. This police officer saw that and pulled us over. As you can tell, she doesn't care about the documents. To leave us alone, she demanded a bribe.
So she wants $50. Why? What have we done? What have we done? Why are you doing this? I can show her the video. We didn't get any of them on video.
So Joe is fighting. He's fighting. Isn't that awesome? He's straight up fighting. He's straight up fighting. He's in the most dangerous country in the world. He gets pulled over by a corrupt police officer. What does Joe do? He fights. Why? Because he's not afraid of the friggin' people. Double decider for the win, bro. He straight up fights. This is so admirable. You guys have no idea how high your character has to be for that to be your knee-jerk reaction. That's so cool. So, but this really is the weave. This really is the weave. So when Donald Trump described the weave, he described it as you get on stage and you're in front of thousands of people, and you don't have enough time to control everything in the blast because you're riffing. Everything you're doing is improvised because that's what the people want to hear. They don't want to hear something read off of a piece of paper. People would rather hear you just weave through topics that you actually know. And guess what? That's really good for you. Guess what? All of that weaving, that probably kept Donald Trump really sharp. If Biden did that much weaving, that much consume play blasting, that probably would have kept Biden a way sharper. Just saying. But you have to be brave. You have to be heroic. And that's what Donald Trump did. So when he's doing the weave, and he describes it this way, he described it on the Andrew Schultz podcast, and he described it on the Joe Rogan podcast when Donald Trump was still campaigning. He explained that the weave is when you go out on a topic and you start talking about a topic, and this is your introverted decider choosing to talk about this. By the way, I think your introverted decider has control over your tongue. So just because a person is moving their tongue doesn't mean they're blasting. Oh, big surprise. So the weave is when you have a main idea and you stray from that main idea. And you say something to add to the main idea. And then let's say there's a problem with what you just said. You might now have to say something to add to that supporting idea. So now you're on to a supporting idea on a supporting idea. And now maybe you go off on a tangent because something funny occurred to you. So now you've got the main idea, the supporting idea, the supporting idea of the supporting idea, and a humorous tangent. And you're beginning to forget where you are. Why? Because you're stretching your OE. Your OE has to hold all of that. None of this is known information. None of this is canned information. None of this is information that you've memorized. You have not greased the groove. You have not greased the groove. That's a good way to describe OI. You have not greased the groove. You're doing this. You're uncharted. Uncharted. That's a perfect way to understand the weave. So then what Donald Trump has to do is he has to remember all the steps to get back to the main idea and to conclude. And when he does it, it feels good to listen to that. It feels good to hear someone land the plane. It feels so good to hear someone land the plane. To go main idea, sub point number 1, sub point number 2, tangent number 3, and to bring it all the way back to the main idea and remember where they were and conclude and say, and that's what I came here to say today. And everybody loves that. Everybody loves that. Everybody loves to see someone successfully navigate the weave. Guess what? Joe is doing that in real life. Joe is doing the weave in real life. He's getting caught at a checkpoint. He gets caught at a checkpoint. Does he escape? It looks like an actual physical hero's journey. That's the beauty of SEDI. It looks like an actual physical hero's journey. It's not a metaphorical hero's journey. He's actually in the middle of the most dangerous country in the world right now. So here's all the things I'm seeing for Joe so far. And now I'm trying to get that feeling or thinking coin.
You first get the money. Okay, you just give me the money with you. Let's just go. So I have to give him my money.
Fucking hell, bro. So just for some context, I was filming the street, not the police officer, but the police officer saw me film.
Yeah.
So she pulled us over and demanded a bribe. So if we didn't pay, what would they do then?
If we didn't pay, they are going to take the camera.
The lady who just took the money, is she just going to pocket that money?
Yeah, you saw she pocket the money.
For herself?
For herself.
We're off to go see one of Mr. BMG's mates. He's going to show us where he lives, but the place is very run down looking. It's around here where a lot of the gangs are then?
Yeah, this area.
Yeah.
I was definitely very nervous at this point in the trip. I mean, you hear a lot of stories about tourists getting kidnapped by gangs, and just the atmosphere of the place, it was not like the city centre.
He just shouted, fuck you.
He's saying black color is real.
Black colour is real?
His black color is real. Wow. Your color is not real.
My colour is not real.
So, okay, I'll just get to the point. Here. I think Joe is beta and not gamma. Because the more you watch Joe, you watch more of his videos and more of his videos, you realize this guy is not Sully Sullenberger. He doesn't have some internal complex that he has to be MacGyver or Batman and have been in the military and have been an electrician before. He's not piling TE skills, in other words. He seems to be stacking TI and piling FE. So he's talking about currency. He's talking about currency equivalence. He's talking about culture. Now, FITE, they'll tend to get more into things like substances and weapons trades. So gammas, they'll go to another country and they'll be like, okay, I gotta learn about the weapons and the drugs. Beta will go to another country and they'll go, I got to learn about the economy, the language, and the culture. So how does this come back to set theory? If I'm watching Joe, I can eliminate the Gamma Quadra because I'm going, wait, when is he going to show me his TE? When is he going to show me his cool guns? His cool FITE guns? When is he going to... Why didn't he bring bear spray? Where's his bear spray? FITE. Where's his Batman utility belt? FITE. He just rolled out of bed with gym clothes. He's still wearing friggin' gym clothes. Right? He's like a Ken doll. That's the thing about the betas. It's like, you guys don't... Gammas, you don't realize how bad we are at your functions. Let me say it again. You guys don't realize how non-existent FITE is for TI and FE users. Let me say it a third time. You guys don't realize just how pathetic and non-existent our FI and our TE is. And I can find that. Why? Because that's invariant. That's invariant. It doesn't vary. So guess what? I don't need to see 10,000 ESFPs. I don't need to see 10,000 ESTPs. He doesn't have his bear spray. He doesn't have his guns. He doesn't have his perfect jacket. He didn't bring his favorite blankie stuff. He didn't bring his favorite pipe. And he didn't show his favorite pipe to the camera. He didn't bring his nifty coffee maker and show his nifty coffee maker to the camera. He's just there for the people, for the FE. And that's why I would come down and say, you know what? I think Joe is either this or this. I think he's either SCFE or SCTI. I'm going to eliminate SCTE and SCFI before I decide on feeling or thinking. I'll say that again. I'm going to eliminate ESFP before I decide on feeling or thinking. So I'm going to say, nope, Joe's beta. Right? So that's how this kind of idea of set theory is coming into this. And guess what? Set theory, it's saving the day from that big garbage data monster that Dave showed us. It's saving the day from the big garbage data monster. So yeah, I think that's just about all I wanted to say today. About Joe, about everything. I think that's about it. So you know what? I'm just going to finish this video with Joe just to go the distance because I want to respect that about him. So I'm just going to go the distance with Joe here.
Yeah, Sajai.
Hello.
Oh.
Nice to meet you. I'm Joe. What's your name?
My name is Kenny.
Kenny is a friend of Mr. BMG, and he kindly agreed to show us around his home.
This is a rental home.
Yeah.
So I'm renting these 2 rooms.
These 2 rooms. How much is rent a month? How much per month?
Per month? Yeah, the rent is $20.
$20 a month?
Yeah, per month.
Okay. We're allowed to have a look?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is my room. This is my...
That's the baby.
Yeah, this is my...
What's your name?
Her name is Mas.
She's beautiful.
Kenny shares this room with his wife and his daughter. He also shares a kitchen with other people that live in that area.
This is cabbage.
Cabbage.
Yeah, you know cabbage, right?
I know cabbage. Cabbage.
I enjoy it very much.
Yeah.
While the place doesn't seem like luxury to you, for South Sudan standards, this is a good home.
How is life living in Juba?
Here, actually, in Juba, life is not all that easy. Because you see, you cannot get work actually easy. Now, I'm just doing a mobile phone repair so that my family will survive.
You don't mind me asking,
So,
how much money do you make a month?
in a month, I can make like $60.
$60.
As I mentioned before, South Sudan is the poorest country in the world.
On average, how much would you say you earn a month from work?
15,000.
And how much is that in dollars?
Like $3.
$3 a month.
Like 10,000 in the month.
The civil war has caused prices to skyrocket, jobs are scarce, and these guys are struggling to make it through. But life here can be even more tough than that. Just down the road was this little camp.
3, 2, 1.
Lower class, but lower class in the poorest country in the world. This is the harsh reality.
This is where you live? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we have a look?
I don't go inside. Yeah.
How many people stay here?
Many, like 17.
17 in this one room?
Yeah.
When it rains, which is very common here, but what do you do? So this is the food here that you eat?
Yeah. These are leftovers from the street. They don't know which one is that, so they eat anything.
Walking around this place was tough. Seeing all of this and just realising how much you take life for granted. I mean, the people here were the nicest people I've ever met. They had constant smiles on their faces.
Bye!
Coming? Hey!
Okay, so it's 9 p.m. right now. I don't know how we've done this, but a member of a gang, the JJ gang?
Yes, JJ, yeah.
A member of the JJ gang has agreed to meet up with us and do an interview.
As I said earlier, gang violence is a big problem in South Sudan. In fact, all throughout today, I've spoken to people whose lives have been affected by gangs.
Do you ever experience any of the gangs here? Yo, you good? Nice to meet you.
The gang member who agreed to speak with us was in this building behind me. I was waiting for about 10 minutes, and out of nowhere...
So, okay. You come out or I go in? Hello. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
This guy is a member of the JJ gang.
What is your name?
My name is Gangster Ben.
Did you have to join a gang because you were poor, or did you join a gang out of choice?
Because I was poor and it's friendship involved. Like
it's friendship, they're all your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do get some cash from there. Robbing people by the roadside, taking some people property like phones and jobs.
Do you feel any guilt doing that?
No, I didn't feel shy. I can't feel shy. I have injured many people.
You have injured many people?
Yeah.
What, like taking their money, you injure them?
Because in taking the cash, you have to use force.
The way that Benny just showed off about all of this, it was pretty scary. A lot of people, however, have to join gangs purely to survive.
Okay, so that's the end of the video. And he says this last slide, he says it's survival of the fittest. So I just want to explain one thing, that survival of the fittest is undoubtedly something that consumers latch onto. I see this in my data, is that the consumers, and I don't have that much data, is that the consumers, and most of it's up here, and so the consumers, they see the world as like a survival of the fittest. So they naturally are inclined to see the world through this upright hierarchy, which is very much survival of the fittest oriented. So that's why I see a lot of and I also see that in the beta quadra, because that's actually a very intellectual like imposition on reality, survival of the fittest. That's not something that naturally like occurs to ESFPs, because ESFPs are so deeply intertwined in the TE inverse hierarchy. They're like, it's not survival of the fittest, it's survival of the most trustworthy. It's survival of the most trustworthy. If we're talking survival, if we're talking paying the bills, if we're talking solving problems, it's survival of the purest if you're an ESFP. So you go, survival of the fittest, what are you talking about if you're an ESFP? But the ESTPs will be like, that sounds awesome, it's survival of the fittest. And look, that's the weave. Survival of the fittest, that's the weave. You know, if you're a lion, you have to do the weave to catch a zebra. If you're a zebra, you have to use the weave to escape a lion. So consume, this is why I see consume as the most foundational animal. As the most foundational animal. And it defines your hero's journey. Because it defines your weave. Do you have an SF weave? An ST weave? An NF weave? Or an NT weave? Think about it. If you have an NT weave, that is to say your reverse consume, that's your hero's journey. So what is your hero's journey? You're trying to go to the best possible Ivy League school. Even if you're an ISFJ, you're trying to go do research. You're trying to become a doctor. I've got a old girlfriend who I think is probably SCTI, and she wanted to go into Doctors Without Borders. That was her dream her whole life. Guess what? She finally did it. She did the weave. She got through her university with her ST weave. Is smart. And often academic. Or shall I say professional. So guess what? If you're in the beta, your weave is SF. Your weave is, I got to become G.I. Joe. So guess what? I go join the Delta Force. Guess what Dave's always talking about? The Delta Force, the Navy SEALs, David Goggins is SF weave. And guess what? All of this talk about animals, animal clustering, if only there were some higher order superstructure by which we could take all of our animal clustering data and store it in some sort of higher order superstructure. Guess what that is? That's Quadra. Because guess what? I know that the SF blast of the alphas, I know the SF animal of each Quadra. So if I'm hearing SF, I'm going, oh, which SF is that? Is that SF blast or is that SF consume? Right? So I'm just saying, this really works. From a statistical perspective, this really works. From a conceptual perspective, using Quadra as a higher order superstructure, that's going to really work for us in the statistics. I'm just saying, it's going to improve our operator reliability. It's going to improve our operator reliability. So guys, that concludes this episode on statistics, Quadra typing, and set theory. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I think it was really good. I think it was very informative. And I think it helped address a lot of the most pertinent issues in the community right now. A lot of the most controversial and pertinent issues and pressing issues in our community right now. I think this video addressed all of those. So I'm really proud of how this went and how this turned out and how my weave performed over the course of this video. Thanks so much guys for watching. It's been a pleasure. I hope y'all have a great Christmas season and that you guys get to go home to your families and really enjoy some time with your families this season. Thanks so much for watching guys. It's been great. See ya.